We recently got 2 horses. My younger daughter, a young teen, wanted them, as she's been learning to ride. My older daughter, nearly adult, was against them. She's much more apprentice-y and didn't want to deal with the mess and chores that come with horses. But we told her it wouldn't be something she'd have to deal with, and that her younger sister promised to take care of all of it. Well, recently, the older daughter's been disrespectful at home and staying out too late, and her grades have been slipping. We warned her to shape up, but last week when we heard that she'd been needlessly insulting her younger sister while I was out running errands, I told her that she'd be cleaning out the stable each day for the next week as punishment, and that her sister would get a break. She got upset and offended and said we promised she'd never have to go in there or scoop horse poop. I said I promised it wouldn't be one of your chores, of course. But obviously punishment is supposed to be something outside of your normal chores and something you won't like, and I thought it was perfectly fair here. She's been doing it for 3 days now, but seems very resentful of our broken promise, acting very disgusted, and keeps begging to get out of the rest of it. But I said I thought it was fair, and she was overreacting. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You bought 2 horses for your younger daughter, and promised the older daughter she wouldn't have to be involved in their care. You broke your promises. There were plenty of adequate and appropriate punishments available. You could have given your daughter for staying out late and letting her grades slip. Are you deliberately trying to stir up resentment between the 2 sisters? Because this is how you get resentment between 2 sisters. Exactly. Horses are a pretty big gift. Does your oldest child get the same treatment as your youngest child? It could be resentment building up and causing her to act out, and being forced to take care of her sister's huge gift will only worsen the resentment. I was wondering the same. Horses are a huge gift. After the purchase price, there's still upkeep, vet bills, farriers, tech, and food, and not just 1 horse but 2. My child used to ride, and even leasing a horse cost a small fortune, but buying 2? OP, have you given the older daughter a comparable gift? This whole story reeks of favoritism. I bet money the older one hasn't gotten anything but increased chores, so the precious perfect golden child doesn't have a thing to do. And I need more information about who said she's been needlessly insulting to her younger sister. Was it the younger sister tattling? And what is needlessly insulting? Is there such a thing as needfully insulting? And isn't that part of sibling squabbles, being needlessly insulting? And I'm sorry should suffice for that indiscretion, in my honest opinion. Your oldest daughter isn't the golden child, obviously, so you want her to be Cinderella. I, 28 male, have this friend Charlotte, 29 female. Charlotte and I go way back. We were at a bar one night, and we just happened to get into a small argument about something personal. So we spent a few minutes just bitterly drinking, and not talking to each other, when this weird guy walked up between us, and started saying awful things to her. Charlotte kept glancing at me, and by the expression on her face, I could tell that she was completely frozen, and wanted me to help her out. However, I was still bitter about our little disagreement, so I turned away from her, pulled out my phone and surfed the web. That guy talked to Charlotte for about 5 minutes and said the weirdest stuff. I couldn't help but glance back at Charlotte, and it looked like she was almost about to burst into tears. I decided that enough was enough, and I told the guy to take a hike. We got into a verbal fight, but the guy eventually left. Once we were sure that the guy had left for good, and he wasn't just standing around waiting outside, I walked Charlotte back home. She just said passive-aggressive stuff like, "I hope you enjoyed yourself, and it's a good thing you took your sweet time." When we returned to her apartment, she was still angry at me. Am I the idiot? Oh God, you are the idiot. You held so much power in this situation, and you decided to use it to let your friend remain terrified. You intentionally used this to hurt her, not just petty normal fighting, but to allow someone else to abuse her actively. This could have put her in danger, and she knew that. She knew that you were okay with her being verbally abused while you actively decided not to help. Yeah, you are the idiot. I cannot say enough times, you are the idiot. When a woman gives you the pleading, "Get me out of here" stare, you do it, period, no matter how upset you are with her at the moment. The instant a creep harasses her, and she signals you, you help. Heck, even if you don't know her, and she's being clearly harassed, step in. This is how bad things happen because no one steps in. The actual heck, dude. Did you really need the whole internet to tell you you're the idiot here? You're her friend and you just watched that happen and listened? I dealt your friends much longer. I hope your mild argument with Charlotte was worth losing a friendship over. You broke so many friend codes by doing that. Who needs enemies with a friend like you? My daughter, kindergartner, has some severe food intolerances. Eating the wrong thing frequently ends in a hospital visit. She has snack time at school, where the kids bring in their own snacks. I found a really fun snack for her online that she can actually eat, and I've been sending that in with her for months. On Tuesday, when I opened her bag, I found that the snack was there untouched, so I asked her why. She told me it was too tough for her to open. I asked her about the previous weeks, and she told me that her teacher used to help her but doesn't anymore. I encouraged her to ask her teacher the next day. The next day, the snack was still unopened, and when I asked her about it, she told me that the teacher told her she needed to learn to open her snacks at snack time all by herself. So I sent the teacher an email explaining that the snack is quite tough to open, even for adults sometimes, and that it would be super helpful if she could help my daughter open her snack when she's unable to do so. Otherwise, she has an 8-hour school day with only her lunchtime to eat. I was nice about it, but you better believe it did make me a bit angry that she'd rather let a kid go without a snack while all the other kids ate one than help a young child open a snack. I picked her up on Thursday, and she still had an unopened snack. At this point, I called the teacher to ask what was going on, and she said that their goal for the last few months of kindergarten was to promote independence, and that she couldn't do that if they had to hold the kid's hand at every turn. She said it might help if I sent my kid in with a normal snack instead of such a bizarre, difficult to open one. She's very aware of my daughter's food intolerances. At this point, I politely thanked her and called the principal, asking him to move my daughter to a different classroom. I said that it was very inappropriate to emphasize that my daughter's snacks weren't normal enough, given that she could not live a normal life. I wish I could give her some Cheetos or a pack of cookies like the other kids get, but I can't, and I just wanted my daughter to have something a little bit more fun when all the other kids were eating those things. She moved rooms, but her previous teacher sent me a message about how I've really made things difficult over a snack. Apparently, they've started an investigation and are monitoring how she interacts with the kids. 2 of the moms that she knows better than me commented in the moms group chat that the way the teacher was treated in regards to this is completely unfair, and that a child's food issue shouldn't be their teacher's issue to deal with. So, am I the idiot? Should I just send in a different snack? Edit. I asked a couple of times why I can't open the snack before school. For some reason, the school policy is that the snack has to be a single-serve item in a sealed package and not in a Tupperware container, and it won't allow repackaging. Also, kindergartners are not allowed to carry scissors, no exceptions. Not the idiot. If they're making requirements of how a snack is packaged, then they're responsible for ensuring said packaging is open for the child if the child has difficulties opening it, regardless of food intolerances or allergies. This has nothing to do with teaching kids independence. Yeah, I don't think letting a kid miss out on the snack time that everyone else gets when her mother gets her a snack that agrees with the school policy teaches anything other than discouraging her from asking for help in the future. This teacher sounds lazy or entitled. I can't believe some parents are taking her side. Also, for the teacher to contact you afterward and complain about your concerns was really unprofessional. I teach high school students who need help with opening stuff sometimes or fixing things, and sometimes I ask them for help too. While I understand the need for teaching independence, I feel like this was a weird hill to die on due to dietary restrictions. Also, I hope you've screenshotted the conversation of the mothers moaning and shared that with the principal, as that shows the teacher's been gossiping. A coworker started to develop feelings a month into knowing me. Let's call him Gray. It may not be something too deep, so I was flattered. I told him I wasn't interested since I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. A month after this rejection, Gray asked me to be his girlfriend. Again, I rejected it. He said it was cool, but he'd appreciate it if I didn't cut him off. I didn't, as he was a nice friend to have. I had to reiterate to him more than once after this that there was no chance I was reciprocating the feelings at all. One day, one of my closer coworkers let me know that Gray would ask her what my plans for the day were, and if I had any, he'd ask her where I'd be going and who I'd be with. He'd also ask her if I was hanging around any other male coworkers. One time when we were out to lunch with our team, our boss gave us the rest of the day off. That meant we'd be free to go home or hang out after lunch. I told everyone I'd be off home as I was too tired. He offered to bring me home and I declined. He snapped and started almost begging me to bring me home, but I just kept declining. He said then, "Fine, let me book you a taxi," and proceeded to type my address correctly when I knew for a fact that I never gave him my address. I was majorly uncomfortable at this point. He's done weirder things over the past year, stalking my family on social media, memorizing usernames of my closer friends on IG. He even found an old account I wasn't using anymore, shipping products he bought online directly to my address, even getting in a taxi and following me home. When I confronted him about it, he said he was just ensuring I was safe. Last week, while preparing to go home, it started to rain, so he insisted on bringing me home on his motorcycle. He followed me around the office saying, "Please let me bring you home." We were around other coworkers, but I snapped at him and told him to screw off and leave me alone in a relatively high voice. A coworker who was aware of the stories I told above overheard and told me I didn't have to react that way. I talked to a non-coworker friend about it, and he told me that this might be Gray's way of winning me over. Now I'm worried that I'm just viewing him as annoying and stalkerish, because I didn't reciprocate the feelings and went off on him when he was being kind. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'd say report him to HR. Stay away from him. He thinks he's Superman. See what he has on. That's not a cape. That's a frigging red flag. Also, screw that idiot coworker who told you not to react that way. They obviously don't understand or care about your situation. If they know the stories and expect you to always be calm, majorly angry at that scene extra. Anyways, report him. Tell your family about him so that they can be aware and beware of him and his presence. Get a dog if you don't have one. Keep some self-defense stuff. This could escalate as time goes by. Do not give him a chance. You're being stalked. Go to HR. Let them know you only want him to talk to you about work. He's not to offer you a ride home. If you see him follow you home or near your house, you will get a restraining order. Tell them if the company can't handle him, you're going to the police. And before you go to HR, I would write down everything that's happened, even if you don't remember the dates. Then I'd make a copy for them and for you. The most concerning part of this story is that he knows your address but you never told him. Following you home is unacceptable and grounds for a restraining order in some jurisdictions. I'm sure he thinks he's winning you over, but that doesn't make it okay. This is way over the line, not just some awkward workplace flirting. Oh, I doubt he thinks he's winning her over. At this point, it's just pressure to get her to break and to give in while making that effort to be seen as having good intentions. The scene with the taxi was a power move. I know where you live and I need to illustrate that you don't get your own choice here. Either way, I know you're home. You're in a very dangerous situation. You need to make HR aware and start documenting these instances so you have evidence to take to the police. This is going to get much, much worse before it gets better. Update. I've told my coworker, the one he asked about my plans, if she would support me in bringing this to HR. But it turns out she's already kind of tipped them off at his behavior. By this, I mean she's mentioned it vaguely to a friend from HR because she didn't want to get ahead of me. And HR said that the complaint had to come from me for them to be able to do something about it. So she would be supporting me in filing a complaint. Thank you all for your concern, and for pulling me out of downplaying the situation. My son Henry divorced his wife, Rachel, a year ago. Their divorce wasn't exactly messy, but it wasn't easy either. I stay in contact with Rachel for my granddaughter's sake. My granddaughter's a preteen and Rachel also has another daughter, Amy, 3 years older than my granddaughter, who's not my son's child. She was from a past relationship Rachel had. Now, the thing is, Amy grew up calling me grandma for pretty much her whole life. I treated her exactly the same as I did my biological granddaughter. I'd always take candy for both of them, give them both a little bit of pocket money and hugs and love, and still do love Amy as much as I do my granddaughter. As far as I'm aware, she's my second granddaughter. When my son and his wife divorced, I stayed in contact with his now ex-wife to contact my granddaughter, and Amy has her own mobile phone. I also have her phone number and stay in contact with her occasionally. She still calls me grandma as well. I didn't think this would be a problem. However, last week when it was Amy's birthday, I gave Rachel some money to buy her a present for me. She was thankful, bought her a gift, wrapped it, and sent me a picture of her opening it. Later that day, my son came around to visit me and my phone rang. Amy called to say thank you for your birthday present. My son told me he found it inappropriate for me to talk to his ex-wife and her daughter when she was not my granddaughter. He said I have absolutely no reason to be in contact with either of them, as I see my biological granddaughter regularly, and that she's the only whose family So, his ex-wife and Amy, who are no longer family, have no reason for me to be in contact with them. I disagree, as I only speak to Rachel about my granddaughter, and I speak to Amy as for the last 10 years, I've been treating her exactly the same as my biological granddaughter. It would be unfair now to no longer have contact with her, after so long. Am I the idiot for staying in contact with them both? I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I never discuss my son with either of them. I simply check in and see how they are. Not the idiot. He's been in this girl's life for 10 years, and he's not staying in touch, and doesn't seem to care or worry about her. That should be the issue here. Be careful he doesn't decide to not let you see your other granddaughter, just because he doesn't agree with you. Your son is a major idiot though. Amy's been a significant part of your lives for 10 years, and your son is upset that you still talk to her, and treat her with kindness, instead of dropping her out of your life entirely, as though she doesn't matter at all. Is he demanding you do that to a literal child? No wonder his wife divorced him. What a selfish, spiteful idiot. Agree. That's a lot of time to form a bond beyond a casual relationship. Your son is selfish, thinking his anger towards his ex is more important than your love for the children. He cannot tell you to change your priorities. I understand that your son is hurting, but you're only demonstrating love for the kids. Once again, the father's in the movie Clueless. You divorce wives, not children. Grandma gets it, but dad does not. Grandma, carry on. Family's not necessarily defined by blood. If you and Amy believe you're grandma and granddaughter, then you are. Don't let anyone. My teen female mom always told me that my dad left when he found out my mom was pregnant. When I was 2, my mom married a man with 3 kids, currently 21 male, 19 male, and nearly adult female. My stepdad was the only father figure I ever knew, and when I was younger I wanted him to be my dad, but he never accepted me. I also have 4 half-siblings, tween female, younger tween female, younger tween male, and pre-tween male. My stepsister is definitely the favorite out of us older kids. My stepdad often seems only to care about her and the younger ones. My mom and stepdad don't have a lot of money, so it's pretty cramped. I have to share a room with my half-sisters. I always wear my stepsister's hand-me-downs, and we live in a crappy neighborhood, so I go to a crappy school. Sometimes we don't even have enough food. About a year ago, a woman contacted me on Instagram and told me she thought I might be her husband's daughter, because he was dating my mom a few months before I was born. She told me that my mom ghosted my dad shortly after she got pregnant, and moved to a different state. He tried to find her but couldn't. I didn't believe her at first, but after she sent me a picture of my mom and her husband, I decided to ask my mom. She confessed and told me she left my dad because she didn't want to commit to a relationship. I continued talking to my dad and stepmom, and they decided to come visit me. After I told him what it's like at home, he told me that he would fight for custody, and the court would probably listen to me if I said I wanted to live with him. I wasn't sure then because I didn't want to abandon my mother. I told him I'd think about it and let him know. After thinking about it, I decided I'd rather live with him. My stepmom always wanted kids, but she's infertile, and she already loves me a lot, even though we've only met a few times. They also have a lot more money than my mom, so I could have my own room and new clothes, and I could go to a much better school. I know my reasons are really selfish, but I'd have a much better life with him. After I told him, he went to court and got primary custody of me. My mom's been giving me the silent treatment ever since, but yesterday when I was packing, she yelled at me and called me selfish for abandoning her and my little siblings as soon as my dad showed up, and said that if my dad loved me so much, he should have tried to find me earlier. I think she's the selfish one. She kept me away from my dad for the first 14 years of my life. Honestly, I think she's just mad because she won't have anyone to watch her kids anymore. And because my dad's been paying her $1,000 every month since he found me, and she won't have that anymore. Everyone except my younger half-brother and stepbrother is acting like I don't exist. My dad'll pick me up on Sunday, and honestly I can't wait. Edit. My dad's been paying child support for the last year, not my whole life. Not the idiot. Your mom is the selfish one, cutting ties with your bio dad and disappearing because she wasn't ready for a committed relationship when she got pregnant. She took away your shot of having your dad in your life. She stole you from your father in a relationship you never got to build, and it sounds like you feel neglected in your current living situation. Go and build a relationship with your birth father, and don't worry about what your step or half-siblings think. They're probably jealous because this whole thing sounds like some Cinderella story. She's afraid of commitment, but 2 years later, she's marrying a guy with 3 kids. Sounds like she found out how hard it was raising a kid alone and got over that fear real quick. Also, who wants to bet that bio dad wasn't as wealthy as he currently is when mom didn't want to commit to a relationship? Think you're right. Mom's angry that she's losing her live-in babysitter. I think she also has a bruised ego because you chose him instead of her, but what did she expect? She's been lying to you your entire life, and has stuck you with a stepfather that doesn't care about you. Also, the court would have not given him primary custody without a good reason. Child, with all the wisdom in my soul, I tell you that you should pursue people who truly love you. It's not your job to ensure your mom is okay. It's the other way around. There's a lot about this situation that you're likely going to figure out later on in life wasn't the norm or wasn't quite okay. I think you should ask your father and stepmom to put you in therapy if you're open to that. Just remember, you're inherently worthy of being loved and loving yourself. You don't have to do anything to earn the right to be loved. You simply deserve to be loved. That's it. Full stop. I wish you the best. Homer Simpson said it best. I have 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money? I, female 29, am married and plan on having kids in the next decade. But I come from a family that is in a weird cult that thinks children are the end-all and be-all. I'm the only girl with 7 siblings and I have 20 nieces and nephews. I hated growing up like this and I promised myself I wouldn't have kids until I was secure in my career and marriage. My 5 oldest brothers are all tradesmen and make a good living to support their growing families. My youngest brother, however, had a chance to get out. He went ROTC and everything was going great until he came home one Christmas and my family started crapping on him for not starting a family. Well, now he has 3 kids and no money. His wife stays home and watches the kids. My parents approached me about helping him out since I, quote, have more money than I need. I don't though. I'm saving up for my family. My parents only see that my husband and I live in a big house, drive new cars and take awesome vacations. They cannot compute that the reason I can do this is because I don't have kids yet. I told them that I would contribute equally as they and my other brothers did. I wouldn't match it. I would just put in as much as the person who put in the least. They said I was being petty and parsimonious. I said that I thought my offer was fair, but that I'd withdraw it if they didn't agree. They're mad at me and several of my brothers call to give me grief for hoarding my blessings. I may have been rude when I said that I had always been taught that children were the greatest blessing, so they were all better off than me. Not the idiot. You aren't obligated to help your family. You can if you want, but it's a form of abuse if they try to guilt you into it. You are being responsible and they're being irresponsible. Why should you have to cover for their irresponsibility? Also, if you help them, it never ends. The burden will simply grow over time and they will come to be reliant on it. When you later try to pull back the support, they'll act like it's abuse to not help them. Don't start. OP, tell them you tied 10% to Planned Parenthood and you don't have any left over. I love how people decide what to do with your money. Give, don't give, whatever amount. It's all up to you, not anyone else. Their money problems aren't your issue. Your brothers should learn to use protection. Calling your money a blessing is just a convenient way for them to downplay the fact that you've worked hard and saved to get where you are. So they can manipulate you into sharing that blessing since you're just so lucky to have it and your brother isn't. Miss me with that crap, y'all. Enjoy your hard-earned prosperity and congrats on escaping this cultish mindset that reduces women to baby factories. Stay strong and good luck. My boyfriend, 30, and I, 30 female, were invited to his friend's wedding. I've met the bride and groom a few times. He's known them for decades. There's a local tradition for each guest to bring a dozen cookies to the wedding. Then at the wedding, everybody's cookies are displayed together to make a cookie table. We wanted to participate, so we baked cookies the night before. I have a very beautiful and expensive tea tray. My boyfriend suggested that I use it to display the cookies. I said no, it's a 300-person wedding, and I don't want some auntie accidentally taking it home with her. My boyfriend seemed fine with this. We found a simple bowl perfectly appropriate for the occasion, and used that to display the cookies. After the wedding, as we were preparing to leave and I went to retrieve my bowl, my boyfriend told the newlyweds that I didn't want to use my tea tray because I thought one of the guests might steal it. I tried to backtrack by saying I didn't want it to get misplaced or damaged, but he called me out on lying. The newlyweds said something about everyone there being friends and family. It was very awkward and we left shortly after. I'm angry because I told him that in confidence, and he should have known better than to repeat that to his friends, even though they were very close. Not the idiot, but your man sure is. No more cookies for him until he learns to behave better in public. Over the years, I've lost many things at potlucks. It happens. You were correct in using something you could live without if it got lost in the shuffle. Your boyfriend was a bit crass in bringing up your concern, in my honest opinion. What is the boyfriend's problem? What could he have accomplished by saying that? It was so unnecessary, and I doubt anyone was going around asking why these trays and not more expensive ones too. At best, he was trying to get a chuckle out of the newlyweds. At worst, he was trying to straight up humiliate OP. Neither is acceptable, of course. The man is an idiot and sounds completely socially awkward. I gasped when I read this, suspecting this may be an antique. Your boyfriend is a jerk, and this crap does happen. I loaned my very perfect and expensive silver tray service for a wedding. As I was at the wedding, I didn't see what they were up to until it was too late. Someone took my service off the tray and used a carving knife to cut up meat and cheese on the tray, gouging huge score marks all over it. It is ruined. So, not the idiot for wanting your property to be protected. But I would seriously consider, if you want to be in a relationship with someone, who would do you dirty like that? I'm an artist. The majority of my income is tabling at conventions like Comic-Con. I work hard, not to toot my own horn, but I'm skilled and invested a lot of time and money, and that rewards me with a good income and a cool job. My niece is starting to draw, mostly anime characters. She has an iPad and a program I use because she wants to be like me, and that's cool. Not to be an idiot, but she's learning. Don't get me wrong, she is better than most kids her age, and practice will help. I'm excited to see her improve, as she's only been doing it for a few months. But right now it's lacking. If I didn't know her, I'd think it was bad. She's a kid, that's mean. Unfortunately, it's relevant. Scene. Big convention. My biggest moneymaker. Highest stress event on my calendar. Long days, long weekends, high cost, high reward. My niece loves anime, so the family's going too. The week before I get a call, they've made prints of my niece's art and want to put them on my table. I said they could have a little space. On day one, they left her with me to be a little helper. She stood in front of my table, directing people to her prints. I lost a lot of sales. People wanted to look at her art and coo at the adorable child, but that resulted in people blocking my table. On day two, I said I wouldn't babysit. I had a table to run. Her parents stayed much worse. They blocked the table and accosted anyone who came up, interrupting people buying from me to talk about my niece. I was stressed and tired. I'm ashamed I barely stood up for myself. Every time I tried, I was told off. I had a panic attack all Saturday as my aunt and uncle grabbed away potential customers. On day 3, they left. My niece was overwhelmed. Her parents were mad at me. Day 3 was slow, but I made the most money. So yeah, glad they weren't there. Usually I make 3 months of rent at this con. Footfall and hype were high. I barely broke even. Part of the issue is there's no way she would get into these conventions alone, and most of the ones I attend require a portfolio to apply, and she definitely wouldn't qualify, so they just can't get her own table. But they want to bring her to the next one, take more table space, more merch. She sold a dozen prints, and I'm proud of her for that, but these events can cost thousands, and I can't afford to finance her. I put my foot down. If this was another job, you couldn't force a take your niece to work day. But because art is a hobby, they've pushed the boundary. They argue I should be a role model, that I'm jealous of the attention, I'm afraid of the competition, I'm selfish for thinking I'm better, etc. I got angry and said, yes, my art is better. It's my income. It's good enough to sell. They said she needed me, and she wouldn't be accepted if she applied to cons herself. I said there was a reason for that. It was mean but also literally true. This is my job. I won't compromise it. So get a real job. She could do art fairs, easier stuff. I offered to take her to a small event, but that enraged them. How dare I gatekeep? I'm not her parents' ticket to her fame and fortune. They bring up my follower count and think I should leverage it for her benefit too. But that puts a major dip in my engagement. Family thinks I'm the idiot. Am I? Not the idiot. It's your income. If you can't survive, you're no inspiration to anyone. Let them set up and pay for her own table and experience the boring side of the industry. They're messing over your livelihood. That's not acceptable. And if they do it a second time, it could mean you end up homeless. You've basically taken a massive pay cut this year to let this child cosplay as a commercial artist. The absolute entitlement of them. They can book and pay for their own table. They can learn the real cost of selling. Honestly, I'd send them a bill for half the cost of the table. Stop trying to cling to these relationships. Your sister is awful, her husband is awful, and that kid isn't going to turn out well either. Go ahead and make them angry. They don't want to accept that you had to work your way up, so your niece will have to as well as her art improves. OP learned to grow a spine. You gave up 2 days of earning because you didn't stand up for yourself. Even posting here, if you're the bad guy in this situation, is weak. You couldn't tell a kid on the first day to sit down and get out of the way. You just let her stand there, presenting her artwork for the entire day. As soon as you saw you lost your first potential customer, you should have done something. You don't have to insult your niece at all. Just draw the line that this is your job. You don't have to justify your job. Don't invite them to the next one. If they show up and won't listen, then call security to remove them from your table so they get the message. My parents adopted my older brother 35 when he was 12, and when he was 19 they had me female teen. My parents loved my brother and gave him a very good life. However, they loved me more, which is natural considering they raised me my whole life while they met him when he was much older. My brother loved to pretend they were some kind of monsters and he was such a helpless victim. He will tell you a dramatic story about how his curfew was 10 when he was a teenager, while mine is 11, or how he got a second-handed car and I got a new one. Yesterday he was over and I asked Dad if I could go shopping with my friends and asked him to give me some money and he said okay. My brother said, "What? Just like that? You never gave me money this easily. She's the favorite, isn't she?" I finally snapped and told him, "Yes, I am. Get over it already. You are an adult. You have a child. Why can't you be grateful for the life you had, instead of acting like a jealous kid?" He got so mad and called me an idiot and left. This is Rich. You're blind to his feelings because you benefited from being the favorite. You are the idiot and a prime example of what a spoiled brat sounds like. You seriously lack empathy for saying that to him, and not seeing how much of an idiot you are here. How horrible of you. And nothing you said makes you the favorite and makes you the youngest child. And your parents have had time to get more financially stable, so you've had more financial advantages than he did. Also, first children are usually treated more strictly than the ones who follow. Parents can relax. You should apologize for what you said. And I hope your parents heard and take appropriate action. I'm a younger child, so I would be in your shoes, but frankly, I would never say something out of malicious intent like that to my siblings. Yeah, we joke about it, but that's it. A joke. I feel like you're holding not being adopted over his head like you're better or something. You really need to reevaluate how you treat him. It doesn't even matter that he's 35. He's still your brother, and treating him that way will not get you anywhere, except for cut off. I hope you mature into a kinder person. I'm 31 and my sister's 24, female. She's coming to the end of her pregnancy and I bought her a Docatot. It was on her registry, so not a random gift. It cost me £100. I'm child-free and currently single, so I guess I don't have many demands on my finances. I haven't been close to my sister until the last couple of years, partially because of the age gap and because my parents disowned me when I was in my first year of uni. I've had limited contact with my family since then. On the other hand, I'm very close to my best friend, Jay. She was there for me when I was disowned and we've been close since we were 10. She has a toddler and I think of him as my nephew. I admit that when I see nice clothes or toys, I buy them for him. Anyway, my sister was at my flat and she saw clothes I bought for my nephew, Jay's son, and I guess she looked them up to see how much they cost. At dinner, she said, "Oh, the clothes you got my baby are so cute, but why did you buy H2? I told her that they were for Jay's son, not yours, and she got really mad and said I value random friends instead of my family. The clothes were more expensive than her baby shower gift, which is why she's angry, I think. When she left, she got my mom onto me and my mother saying that my sister and her son are my actual family. And while it's nice that I'm close to Jay, I should prioritize my actual relations. Am I the idiot here? Edit. I should add that Jay lives abroad now. There's nothing up with our relationship. I flew to visit her a few times a year, and honestly, Mom has had an issue with that too. I think they feel like Jay's not my bio family. And physically, she's thousands of miles away. So I should focus on the people in front of me. Whoa, 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 hold on just a minute. My mother says my sister and her son are my family. After your parents disown you, where does she get off using the real family line? If anything, Jay's more of a real family than your sister or mom. You are not the idiot. Agreed. Your mom is your relative. Jay is family. It's your money. Spend it however way you like. Sister wasn't even there for you when you were disowned. So personally, I take back the doc tot. And the people in front of you were the ones who disowned you while your friends supported you. So I don't think I'd be talking if I abandoned my daughter or my sibling. LOL. Focus on the people in front of you is for customer service, not relationships. Maintaining a relationship over distance is hard. You're merely showing that Jay is in your thoughts, even though they're miles away. Focus on the people who support you and love you. That's clearly not your sister or mom. It seemed to me when OP went off to uni, OP wasn't worthy of family as they disowned OP during that first year. Now that OP is successful and has money, they're all about, oh OP, you better prioritize us. Put us first. Spend all your money on us and screw your best friend. Is this a safe assumption or am I out of line? I think you're spot on. You got her an expensive gift that she actually wanted. The fact that you buy gifts for your chosen nephew I think is lovely and super sweet. And it's your money to do what you want. Your sister's jealous and needs a reality check. Update. Is it relevant to know why they disowned me? They don't like that I'm queer and non-binary. They try to use religion to justify it. Jay and her family are more religious than my parents. So my parents were pretty comfortable assuming that Jay's family would back. They didn't. They supported me, confronted my parents about their behavior and took me in afterward. And that's why my mom resents them. We were close as families. And I know Jay's parents argued on my behalf, and that caused them to stop being friends. I do miss the closeness I had with Mom when I was younger, so I've been trying to rebuild something between us. But yeah, maybe it's not to be. Mom has kind of apologized for the disownment in a wrong way. She now says that it was mainly my dad pushing her. I know that their disagreement about me is part of why they separated in the end. But yeah, Jay and her parents were there for me when I really felt alone. And I think of them as family. My sister and I live in different territories. She lives 4,000 kilometers south of here. So a 2-day drive or 4.5-hour flight away. We try to have a visit at least once a year. This time she brought her boyfriend to visit. I've never met him in person, only over a video call. She says they're thinking of living together. They stayed in my guest room. On the 6th day of their visit here, her boyfriend had a freak out on me because I was preparing a meal for us. And he saw that I had food in my kitchen that my sister was allergic to. I put allergic in quotes because she isn't allergic to anything. Her boyfriend thought she was. She's told him that she has a deadly allergy to a certain food. She went so far as to purchase EpiPens and wear a medical bracelet. She's told him stories about almost dying from accidentally or unknowingly eating this food when we were kids. Her boyfriend was angry I had it in my kitchen and didn't clean my kitchen or cooking utensils before their visit, which I would have done if my sister was really allergic. But she isn't. She hates it, but she isn't allergic. And to me there's a big difference. If there was even a chance my sister was allergic, I wouldn't have it in my kitchen. I told her boyfriend that my sister hates it, but is not allergic, that she's always hated the food. Now she's furious at me. Note that I had the food item she hates in my kitchen because I like it, but I wasn't putting it in any meal for my sister because I know she hates it. I'm not removing food from my house because she hates it. She's furious that I told him the truth. She argued with me. Her boyfriend argued with her. The last day and a half of their visit was awkward. From what I got from my sister, she told everyone she was allergic when she went to university so she wouldn't have to eat it. I was already in university here, so I didn't know she was telling people this. Our parents were divorced and we lived with Mom. Dad lives on the other side of the country, 3,700 kilometers away. We did see him, but Mom was the one who did everything for us. Our relationship with Dad is better since Mom passed. But Dad, his wife, and his sister would not know my sister had an allergy and would take her word for it. Her boyfriend has met them, as the three of them are my sister's only family besides me. Basically, my sister says I should have gone along with her lie, and not told her boyfriend the truth. She says the difference between hating and being allergic is small, and I shouldn't have told him. She's furious at me. Was I wrong to tell him the truth? Edit. I'm not American. A trip to the hospital or seeing a doctor would not cost my sister any money. She wouldn't get a bill for it. Yes, we pay taxes, but we don't get billed directly by the hospital or doctor. Also, if she was really allergic, she could have gotten an EpiPen under the healthcare system. She didn't have one, so she had to buy them herself and pretend they were prescribed. Not the idiot. Faking an allergy is very dangerous because if she fakes a reaction, she's going to get a shot, which is going to result in a trip to the ER. She needs to grow up and own up. I'm not trying to be rude or condescending, but is your sister not all there mentally? I don't understand how she thinks it was okay to lie. I have a severe yellow jacket allergy, so if I get stung, I have to use an EpiPen and then go to the emergency room for supervision. It's very serious and they prioritize me, so the idea of someone faking it and then getting unnecessary prioritization is disgusting to me. I'm glad you told him because who knows what would have happened if this lie had counted. Also, clearly, the sister doesn't know what the consequences are, as this lie could have snowballed into something worse, like the boyfriend bringing her into a hospital. And once the truth came out, not only did it waste everyone's time, but also money. I feel bad for the boyfriend because she betrayed his trust, and who knows how long it'll be till it's regained, if ever. I'm getting mixed opinions from this. My 2 kids are young teen and tween. I'm not gonna lie, we live a pretty frugal life, and all the extra money I make goes into their college accounts or fun weekends. My ex has them once a month and he's the fun parent. Can't get his child payments in, but he's willing to do a surprise trip to Kennywood. It's frustrating, alright? I try not to say anything bad about him, but he's been pushing the narrative that without him and the money he gives me, we wouldn't have this home. It's false, and now the kids are saying, well, dad pays for this. My last straw was when the kids told me that dad pays for the home. So, I pulled up my budget spreadsheet and it includes all the stuff that he pays for. So child support, and he hasn't paid for the past 2 months. The kids were upset about being lied to, and the oldest girl got into an argument with him since she called him to confirm. We got into an argument and he called me a jerk. My friends are split on this and I'm wondering if I went too far. Not the idiot. He doesn't look bad in their eyes because you exposed him. He looks bad because he lied to begin with, and because he created the situation that he lied about. To add to that, the kids deserve to know what they're dealing with, in case they ever need support from him in the future. My friend's ex is like this. He told the kids he was financing their mom's lifestyle, that she really wasn't actually working 2 jobs and was out partying. She showed the kids her pay stubs, checking account, and the stuff she has from courts, showing that their dad hasn't paid child support in over 2 years. The same situation happened because now they don't believe anything their dad has to say. Ex threatens to take her to court for parental alienation, but he can't afford it, due to his flashy new house and car, lol. So sorry. It's hard having sucky parents. I hate to see kids pulled into divorce and support drama. But they're old enough to know the truth. The truth can hurt sometimes, but the truth is in the facts. As for the back child support you're owed, court order for garnishment would be in order. And your friends that are split on this can kiss your butt. Maybe now he'll step up and pay what he needs to pay for his kids. I, 18 male, have a cousin 20 male who's on the chubbier side, about 200 pounds, 6 feet 0 inches. That's of course not morbidly obese or anything by any means, but noticeably heavy. In that he takes after my dad's side, who tends to be heavy set. I take more after my mom, who's very slim. And when I stopped growing at 16, I was 5 feet 10 inches, 135 pounds. Since then I've taken up lifting, and through bulking and cutting I'm now 165 pounds and 10% of body fat. My family was visiting him, his sister, and his parents since I was out of school for the summer. I was discussing sports with his sister, and he jumped into the conversation by laughing and asking what I could know about athletics and athleticism when I was stuck thin and looked weak. This annoyed me because it isn't the first time he's brought up my weight. He had done so mostly before I gained 30 pounds of muscle. So the idea that he's still calling me skinny annoyed me. So I retorted that everybody must look skinny to a guy his size, and that it's funny that he says I look weak and small because despite how much he weighs I can easily bench press him, and I guarantee he wouldn't be able to bench press small tiny little me. So who's really weak? He got upset and complained to his parents about this, who are now demanding I apologize to him for bullying and humiliating him. I refuse to, and his sister's on my side since she agrees he's been taunting me for years, and I just returned the favor and did it better than he could. Am I the idiot? Hard to understand a 20-year-old running to mommy and daddy to tattle on big mean you. What classic bully behavior. He can dish it out but can't take it back. You are not the idiot. LOL. Had a 50-something-year-old cousin run to his dad to complain about me. Infants and adult bodies, go figure. OP's cousin must be getting a lot of flack for his weight from others to be so jealous of OP. His sister must have been taking his abuse for years too. Don't apologize to bullies. His parents were among them. Everyone's the idiot here. Body shaming is body shaming, and it does go both ways. Your cousin shouldn't be commenting on your weight, and you shouldn't have been pushed to do it back. Sometimes people insult other people because of their own insecurities. My mother-in-law, for example, insults me and declares I'm a cleaning addict. Most people I know think I'm a bit chaotic so she can feel better about her filthy house, but I won't go down to her level by telling her, I just don't want to live in the same filth as you do. I don't need to humiliate other people to feel better about me. I know why she insults me, and knowing that it comes from a state of nagging inferiority feelings is soothing enough. Every time she does, I smile because I know she already feels bad about herself. Opie, you both need to grow up and stop bullying each other. My sister-in-law, her husband, and her kid teen are staying with my husband and me for the next week because there's a family funeral, and all hotels were booked out for the fest and concert. We have a big farmhouse, so it's not a big deal, but sister-in-law is very opinionated. My sister-in-law and my husband have different fathers. Her dad died from liver failure 10 years ago, and his death date just passed by not too long ago. He was a massive alcoholic, so my sister-in-law turned into a witch whenever she saw anyone drinking, especially people in her family. Well, my husband, who isn't a big drinker, went out with his friends last night as kind of a hurrah because we'll be welcoming our first daughter into the world in about a month, and he just wanted to celebrate his becoming a dad. I encouraged him to go. I arranged for his Uber back home, and he came in around 11 p.m. last night. He was intoxicated. He walked into the door singing Let's Stay Together by Al Green, dancing, spinning me around the living room floor in some very sloppy waltz, and laughing the whole time as he tripped all over himself. Now, my dad is an alcoholic too, so I get it, but honestly I was having a blast with my intoxicated husband. Sister-in-law comes into the room and just starts laying into my husband about him drinking, screaming about how he would turn out just like dad, etc., etc. At this point, my husband's mood is dead. He's crying. I lost it. I told her, how can he turn out like a piece of crap when that piece of crap isn't his father? Get out of my house right now and never return. She immediately went quiet and said she couldn't just take her daughter out at this time of night and that no hotels had vacancies, and my husband knew better than to drink around her, and I told her that's not my problem. Leave. The whole family's angry at my husband and me right now for both him drinking in front of sister-in-law, and me kicking them out at midnight. Am I the idiot? Edit. I never said her daughter or her husband had to leave. I told her she had to. She woke them up and dragged them with her after she caused problems. Not the idiot. She interfered in your family life, insulted your husband, and didn't even apologize. She whines about no vacancy. I bet her voice felt a little hoarse after that. She needs to see a therapist. Her projecting anger onto other people when it's not warranted is a reflection of her unhealed trauma. It's also obvious he doesn't have a drinking problem and that he just had fun responsibly. Sister-in-law was an idiot for having the unmitigated gall to try and dictate someone's behavior in their own house while they were doing her a favor. The nerve, the chutzpah, the bare-faced cheek of her. I'd kick her out of my life so fast. The resulting tornado would sweep her and all her BS flying monkeys away with her. The only thing I would have done differently was tell her she needs to leave by the end of the next day. That way, she has time to figure out where she's gonna go. Not sure if this happens before or after the funeral and if she still needs a place to stay. Plus, she should check erms too. It's not just suck it up or put people in the street at midnight. I agree, everyone's the idiot here. People always have their knives out to kill anyone and everyone. However, kicking someone out in the middle of the night was too much. If you know the difficulty finding accommodation and they were in your house for a difficult occasion funeral, then you should have let her and her family spend the night. Saying you didn't ask her husband and kid to leave makes you more of an idiot, as everyone knows how